loves, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. If you've been here before, it's your girl Farida, also known as Curly Proverbs, and I'm so excited to have you here with me. If you didn't know, around here it is no kinks, no coils, and no curls left behind. We have natural hair care tips for all textures of hair, fine hair, straight hair, wavy, curls, coils, you name it. We have DIYs that will work for you. And we also get amazing feedback from our audience who actually go away and try these items. So this really is not a channel where we mention things that we just found on Pinterest but we haven't tried. This is a channel where we really spend a lot of time experimenting to find you tried and true recipes. So definitely check out some of the recipes and the DIY videos that we've got in the past, and also subscribe for some DIYs that we have got coming soon. I've got some super exciting ones coming literally, I think about next week by the time you see this video. But before we get into today's content, I need to give a massive thank you and a shout out to our sponsors. They have been sponsoring my channel and supporting me over the years, making it possible for me to continue making these YouTube videos. It is, of course, Skillshare, the place to go if you are a lifelong learner. You are all about that self-development and expanding your horizons and just super curious. They have courses by seriously renowned, well-known, articulate and knowledgeable teachers on anything from illustration right the way through to knitting, to photography, to starting nail art, languages, you name it, interior design, making up your own henna, for body art, you name it, they have got a course. And the great news is, in the description box below, I've actually got a link for the first 1,000 people to click through to basically get the premium membership of Skillshare. So what you're waiting for, be sure to check it out in the description box below. And now let's get into today's video. So henna took me from being that girl who was not able to retain any length whatsoever. I literally went 2 decades of life with my hair stuck at collarbone length, and then suddenly I started using henna and oils, and people were stopping me at church, people were stopping me at work and asking, girl, what are you doing because you're getting the length? Like literally, I mean, this girl couldn't grow her hair past collarbone length, and well, it's even longer when it's wet and like properly stretched out. We're getting the length because of, you know, henna and oiling. So over my Instagram, I asked you guys what you wanted to know about henna, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Q&A. Let's get it. Okay, so let's get into these questions, right? So honestly, I literally just asked these questions 2 hours ago, and I cannot believe how many questions have already come through. So I'm glad that we've done this Q&A. It seems like you have a lot of questions. And what I'm going to potentially do is have another Q&A maybe next month if there is like an insane amount that continue to come in, because why not have a 2-parter? So first question that I got is, what is the shelf life of henna when it's in its powder form? Generally speaking, from the time that you purchase it and open it, you can have it for between 1 and 2 years. Often when you buy it, the supplier will have that information on the pack, but it's very much safe to assume that you can keep it around for at least a year, but up to 2 years. Next question comes from Debbie Ali. How to grow hair fast on the cheap? The best thing to do is to grab you an Ayurvedic herb and a butter and an oil and utilize them consistently along with protective styling. You start with your hair trimmed, and you ensure that you take, say for example, you decide that you're going to use henna, or you might decide that you want to use a blend, which might be different Ayurvedic herbs altogether. You put a teaspoon of that into your regular deep conditioner, or like even fruit, for example, you can put it in with blended banana and apply that to your hair every single time you deep condition, and then you follow up with an oil or melted butter. You can add a melted butter into the actual hair mask mix, or you can use the butter to seal your ends for the first seal after you wash, and then continue to keep it hydrated using an oil of your choice. So the main thing is that if you are using an Ayurvedic herb, it's strengthening your hair. If you are using an oil and a butter, it is hydrating your hair. So you've got the strength and you've got the hydration, so the hair's able to move and not get broken. And the fluidity of the movement has to do with the hydration that you're imparting during the deep conditioning process. It literally is as simple as that. The fun can be in the journey of finding out what you think of different oils and what you think of different herbs. And certainly protective styling was very important for me, and minimizing general manipulation. So you always see me in my videos with my hair out, but I promise you that as soon as I'm done, I've literally got a gigantic silk scrunchie to the side there that I'm going to put my hair up in a pineapple in, and sometimes I even wear my headscarf just around the house to keep my hair protected. So don't let YouTube fool you, hon. Young Beauty 614 says, I love you. Do you know what? I love you too. Comments like that. I said ask a question. She didn't want to even get something from me. She just wanted to say I love you. That's cool. That's really nice. Thank you. Okay, so Purple Rain 3317 says, is it better to buy henna mixed with other herbs or just 100% henna for your hair? It really does depend how you're building your regimen and what fits in with your lifestyle. So if, for example, you were using pure henna, this is the Curly Proverbs henna, by the way. If you guys missed it, we actually did release a henna, and it is the body art quality, which means it's got like the highest amount of Lawson dye content. It turns my hands orange really, really quick, so that's how I know that it's the good stuff. So, for example, if you were going to purchase the straight henna, this is great if you want to make teas. This is great if you wanted to make an infused oil. This is great if you wanted to make some sort of a rinse. Also, it is great for infusing into butters, etc. So you can use it in a range of different ways if it's just a standalone herb like this one. The plus side to this, it is crazy strengthening. I don't really think anything else matches the strength that you are going to get from henna. So if your hair is damaged, if it's breaking, if you're recovering, if you've got relaxed hair and you're trying to nurse it back to health, henna, pure henna is wonderful. But I would suggest maybe just use a teaspoon in your regular deep conditioner and build it up before going in for a gung-ho mask. If you wanted to use a blend, so for example, we have this blend here, we recommend you use this as a gloss or as a straight mask because it is blended with things like slippery elm, it's blended with fenugreek, and especially with the slippery elm, I find that it's a bit trickier to make good teas with it that don't go off as quickly. So I would recommend that you would use this as a gloss. If you're a beginner, either of these would be good. If you want to use your teas, you want to make your oils, this would be good. There's no reason why you can't try both. There's no reason why you couldn't just start with one and see how that works and then build up. But the advantage of getting it in a blend is that if you're not used to just using straight henna and you want to go in for a mask as opposed to a tea or an oil, then this is actually balanced out with balancing herbs such as aloe vera and slippery elm. Otherwise, straight henna can be a lot in a straight mask. So I hope that kind of explains. Henna, how much henna is too much henna? That is a fantastic question by Budin 801. Right, listen, when you're starting out, you really do want to use a teaspoon of henna or a teaspoon of your gloss and work your way up. You want to see how your hair responds. You want to learn how to manage your hair. I would not recommend that if it's your first time using henna, you make the straight henna and water mask and just apply the whole lot to your hair. Reason being, it's so strengthening, it can leave your hair feeling a little bit like dry, and it can leave your hair feeling so strong like you might not know how to gently handle it while it's like that. Whereas if you start with a teaspoon and you build up to 2 teaspoons and 4 teaspoons and 5 and then eventually a mask, you kind of get to know how it's going to affect your hair. I would say start with every fortnight, build your way up to a weekly basis if you're using just a teaspoon in a glass.
If you're using a straight mask, maybe every 4 to 6 weeks for just the straight mask. So you don't want to be using a straight mask on a weekly basis. That will be an overload for anybody's hair. So a gloss can be used fortnightly, work your way into weekly, but a straight mask, you just want to use that after like 4 to 6 weeks, okay? 4 weeks could be good, but start with 6. It's always better to build up. Okay, so CK Lightly actually asked a very similar question, but she also followed with saying, can henna ever be used without changing the color of the hair? No. Just like if you're using it as a conditioner, as a tea, it is going to, even if it's just a teaspoon, it is going to affect the color of your hair slightly. Now, there's ways to minimize the amount of hair color change. So for example, with the Fenugreek Elixir, which actually contains henna, the henna is in oil. So oil actually helps to mute slightly the effect of the Lawson dye, okay? So if you're using it blended and infused into an oil, you're getting the strength benefits, but not as much of the color change. Really, you should not see much of a color change, but you might see some. I could not guarantee that you wouldn't. If you're using a tea over time, you'll definitely see a color change. And if you're using a straight mask, you'll see the most color change. It's unavoidable. Okay, Andy Cornelia says, can I do a straight henna mask and then a henna gloss in the same week? Sis, no. Let's just put that on the screen, like N-O, like no, like, because you will come back and you'll be like, I'm gonna sue Curly Proverbs because she told me to use bare henna and it made my hair fall out. Nah, sis, I did not tell you to use a straight mask and follow with a gloss in the same week. Let's space it out, okay? Hibsy says, why is it so messy to wash off? Listen, sis, I feel your pain because that is the one downside to this whole journey. I can't help the way God designed it to be, that, you know, henna is messy, it stains everything, but it's so good for your hair. So you kind of got to balance out what you want to do. I did go through a phase where I was so sick of the mess and the rinsing and the washing and the getting, you know, all of the time hopping in and out of the shower, that I ended up just using teas, and teas nourished my hair fantastically. And honestly, as well, like if you're looking for a leeway of something to use on children, that could be a good idea. But yeah, essentially teas, if you're sick of the mess, just make teas. And that's what I would recommend, the straight henna, just to make your teas with. And if you don't know what I mean when I say make a tea, you literally need to steep for 8 hours in hot water, not boiling water, your Ayurvedic herb in a closed container, and then you put it into a spray bottle or you use it as a rinse, okay? How can you tell if it's real henna you're using? That's a really good question. If the green of the henna is super bright, stay away from that. If it says black henna and it doesn't have the ingredients indigo, if it's claiming to be 100% henna and it says it's black henna and it doesn't have other ingredients listed in there that actually change the hair color, I would stay away from that, just to be safe. There are reputable companies that carry black henna, but it has other herbs actually mixed in, or it has like variations mixed in to kind of help to make that hair color, if that makes any sense. So Jess G. Halley says, are there any hair types that can't handle it and that it's not good for? I also had somebody else say to me that they have, House of Barty says, I have loose fine curl pattern. Will it make my hair wavy and limp? I think it is good practice, just generally speaking, because everybody's body biochemistry is different, that you do an allergy test by mixing up paste and putting it on the skin behind your ear. See if you feel any burning, any tingling, if there's any rash that comes up, do not use it. Also, it's very good practice to grab a strand of hair at the back and coat it with some of the powder. Have a look. What is the color change that you're going to experience, or what is the color change that you're experiencing? What does it do for your hair? What does it do for the strength of your hair? You can do that over like 2 times, like, you know, 1 week and then leave a fortnight or a week to go and then do it again and see how it looks. To be honest, I've never heard of henna making anybody's hair limp. I have heard of it strengthening, I have heard of it adding shine, I have heard of it adding thickness. So my answer would be no, I don't think there's any hair types it doesn't work for. I often get asked as well, does it work for relaxed hair? Absolutely. I feel like people with relaxed hair would benefit from it the most, because your hair has got the most protein bond disruption, and probably has more damage than somebody who's got natural hair. So absolutely, people with relaxed hair can use it. Straight hair, curly, coily, kinky, you can use it. It just varies in the ease of how you're going to get the product out at the end. Coily hair needs more attention to make sure that you get all of the product out. But other than that, the answer is it works for everyone. This is such a good question. Jane Matthews 2019 says, can you use henna and rice water in the same wash day? If you were going to use it as a gloss, maybe you could get away with it. But I would feel really worried about coming on here and telling everyone to do that. Like, I might experiment in it because that's kind of like what I do for a living, is kind of figure out what works and doesn't, but I wouldn't say to anyone else to kind of go away and do it. How long do you keep it in for? Great question. The best thing to do with henna is to actually allow it to sit for 4 hours before application. So the henna release is maximally released after 4 hours. Then you can apply it. Then you can choose to apply it for 30 minutes. Then you could choose to apply it for 4 hours. It's really up to you. I don't tend to go beyond 2 hours of having henna in my hair, and then I rinse it out. Okay, can I use henna on hair that has been lifted and not bleached? I don't see any reason why, but again, I would strongly advise you do a strand test, because your hair color history, the specific item that you've used, you know, what's deposited are still left in your hair, I have no idea. So I would always do a strand test just to check. The time when you should not put henna into your hair once it's been colored or lifted or bleached is if you're not sure that it's good henna, because there are some henna items that have things, that impurities that are added to it that make your hair go unpredictable colors. So for example, I know people whose hair turned green when they applied henna because their hair was already dyed, and that particular henna had some additions and fillers in it, and it caused the hair to turn to all kinds of wild colors. So please strand test in any case, but if it's a good quality henna, you should be good. Although hairstylists and hair colorists tend to advise against it, I find that a lot of them don't really have much experience with using henna because they focus on the chemical route for hair coloring. Nabila Al-Bahri says that she used henna that came in a packet with other ingredients and it's damaged her hair ever since. Guys, you know what? People jump on this bandwagon and they put all sorts of stuff. I mean, if you haven't caught my announcement video, check it out, where I actually show you the different grades of marshmallow root that you can buy for similar prices. The one that was the best of all was the most expensive, but you can buy different ingredients, sometimes cheaper ingredients, have all kinds of stuff that's mixed in, that's put in as filler and bulking agents, and it causes all kinds of havoc to hair. So again, I'm not saying henna works for everybody, but what I am saying is starting with a good brand really does help massively. Is it okay to deep condition after henna color? Can I use hibiscus powder with Moroccan henna? Yes, you can use hibiscus powder with your henna. They actually are a really nice combination. It is okay to deep condition as long as you deep condition with a moisturizing deep conditioner after you do a henna mask. I would say it helps with the manageability of the hair afterwards, but if you want to maximize the color and the strength that's imparted, don't follow with a deep conditioner. That's what I used to do all the time. But I figured that, actually I was speaking to Khadija, and she said to me, listen girl, if you follow up with a conditioner, you are definitely decreasing the potency of the henna. So yeah, guys, I think we have answered. Listen, we might have to do a part 2 to this. But I hope that I got to your question or something similar to your question. Thank you so much to people who sent in those questions. Please follow your girl over on Instagram. It's Curly Proverbs, and also the Curly Proverbs collection on Instagram. That is the IG for the range. And over there, we're sharing tips, we're sharing testimonials, I'm taking over stories, we have the slickest graphics, so definitely check us out over there. We've worked really hard, and it's a baby Instagram, so we'd really love to push engagement, and it would be a really neat thing that you could do that would help me out and be absolutely free for you. If you found this content to be useful, please do give this video a thumbs up so other people who are in the same predicament and having the same questions as you can have them answered. I'm so grateful that you have joined me. I will list my henna products that I have in the description box below, so you can check them out if you're in the market to pick up a new bag of henna sometime soon. Also the fenugreek elixir with castor oil and vitamin C, etc. It's all going to be listed below. Definitely check it out. And I love you. Thank you for hanging out with me. See you in the next video.